Hey, good Monday morning, everyone. You're listening to Author Talk with me, Amy. Sandy is our lovely guest co-host today. Russell and our lovely author guest is Matthew. And let's dive into the weekend because I have so much to tell everybody on this call. So let's kick it off with the fact that I got another ticket and I'm on probation. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way.
Well, you should be on probation.
It's my second ticket this year, and I'm on deferred deposition, which is probation. But if I behave for 2 months, I may get off early. Okay, so
I don't think that's likely. You're not the kind of character to behave under any.
No, it's because my car is red. That's the only way that I could get my car from my husband if we had it red. I could have the car that I wanted. He got to pick the color, so then they just catch me because I have a lead foot. So
that is garbage. But I already like Matthew because he already took a zing at you.
I love it. But you guys,
was it a speeding? What was the ticket for? Was it for speeding?
Yes, I was going 58 and a 45. Okay, if we want to be completely honest, I was zipping down University. My kids were not in the car.
Amy, don't be completely honest. I reckon you need to challenge that. It's this psychology of red cars. I tell you the.
I know. And it
okay, Matthew. Here's the truth. He at least got that because she got that car because she made him sell one of his motorcycles.
That's not why I got the vehicle, but
yeah, you got it because you have 15 kids.
I have 2.
Yeah,
Anyways, you guys, I had the honor of going to the Historical Novelist Society Conference, North America. It was in San Antonio this year. And I happened to get an email from one of the lovely board members, Carol Cram, to be one of the sponsors this year. And I jumped on it. I talked to Sandy about it because I had no idea of this society. And that's my sign. I totally jacked it because you guys, this was a big first for me. I've sponsored events before in the past, but I've never had like a table and my signage everywhere. So it was like a really big deal. And Josh came with me.
It is a very big deal. It is a big deal.
Well, Josh came with me and I was supposed to give a speech and I'd been trying to opt out of it. I'd communicated with some of the board members how like, hey, I'm just going to wave. It's not my thing. I'm a really shy person in person. Okay. And sadly, I took Josh with me, which I loved, but he made me give this speech. So besides it being my first time being there, having a table, doing all the, things that Sandy used to do that I've learned from Sandy, I did on my own. I also gave this 3.5-minute speech.
Amy, can you post your speech on the AuthorTalk page?
I think that's a great idea,
I think
Amy.
that people would love to see it. Please, please, please.
Because it's you, Russell, I will. Okay.
Because I asked too.
I know, but I would have done anything for you. But Russell never asked me to do those things, so I'm going to do it.
Were you nervous, Amy? Were you nervous?
Yeah, Matthew, I am much better behind the computer screen. I can talk to hundreds of people in my comfort zone of my office, which is a mess because I just got back yesterday. And I can be myself in my quirky personality, and let that shine and all of those things because I don't have to look at people. Okay. So I got up there, my first time ever speaking on a mic in a podium, and it was in front of hundreds of people in person and hundreds of people online. So it was scary as hell. Okay. And I played with that in my speech by saying something along the lines of like, I'm terrified and this gives me anxiety. Kind of like, when you put your book out for the world to see, any publication that you do. So yes, scared, but in my defense, and all the ladies will love this, I did have on my red heels with a Texas t-shirt because we were in Texas, okay, in my hometown. So I had to rock the Texas. Yes, but that was my weekend in a nutshell. I got to hang out with Dina Ray of eBook Builders. She came and hung out with me and Josh there at my table, and we all kind of celebrated. But I want to say that the Historical Novelist Society has some of the nicest authors I think I've ever met because I'm completely new. They would walk by my table and then they would come back and they'd walk by and then they would come back and they finally would ask me what Abundantly Social is, which I love that question. And so they were just the nicest people and they're so passionate about the time period that they write and they research in. And so for me, it was the greatest experience, especially being a first timer. So I'm excited. And their next conference in 2025 is going to be in Vegas. Okay. And so I most likely am going to be there. Okay. Either as an attendee or something, because it's in Vegas. Okay. At the Caesar. I mean, I don't know how anyone would turn that down, but it is a fantastic organization. So I'm really grateful that they reached out to me, and I had, just a ton of fun. Me and Josh had a weekend. We stayed at the Marriott, which, neither one of us had really done. Russell, Sandy, have you guys ever done the boat tour on the Riverwalk downtown? Okay. I lived there. I never did it. I did it this time. And I actually learned some stuff, like the author that wrote The Roots was stayed in one of those hotels and all. I learned a lot of stuff, and I'm from there. I should have known this stuff. But it was so much fun and exciting and scary as hell of a weekend, but I did it and survived. Okay.
And I am so proud of you. Yay.
And you didn't get a ticket for your red heels.
No, I didn't get a ticket for my red heels, and I like to say red's my favorite color, so I was totally, on point for that.
You got the right kind of attention for that.
Right, yeah. Exactly. And I didn't have to drive because Josh drove, so I didn't have to worry about any of us getting a ticket because Josh drives, like 30 under the speed limit. So it's, it's a wonderful experience. But what did everybody else do this weekend? I'm curious to know. Matthew, what did you do this weekend?
I had a very relaxing weekend, actually. The weather was beautiful here. I'm here in Montreal, and it's just turning now into sort of full summer, I guess, at the start of it. And Saturday was one of those days where you just feel good about being outside, So I spent I spent a lot of time on my bike. Actually, I love to just cycle around. Had a lovely time doing that for a while. I went to do some shopping for my kids. They have a tendency to grow, children, so you need to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
So
it does sneak up on you, though. That's for sure.
I don't know. Mine's it's a bit like that forest Russell is sat himself in. My boy is just. I don't know. He graduated to the front seat of the car this year. He's 9 years old. And for 6 months, we had a discussion on whether he would get to the 145. You have to be 1.45 meters to sit in the front, or 9 years old. And he got there before his 9th birthday. Sure. So he was happy about that. But what else did I do? A bit of reading, bit of writing, bit of planning. I also uploaded a new book that's coming out that I'm about to launch. Just the first draft, and I'll try and get some more of the copies. So maybe we'll talk about that later. But it's not going to be probably not published till 3 or 4 months. I got to have it in my hands, and see how it feels before. See what else I think needs to be done before that's released. So you guys, I mean, we all know that takes a while, eh?
It does.
Yeah.
Good. So it was a good eventful weekend full of a bunch of stuff you were doing.
Yeah. And I also, I'm turning into a bit of an urban farmer. I'm not blessed with, Russell, I'm not blessed with your kind of surroundings. So I'm growing some herbs in the windowsill. That's it.
Nice.
And I planted some coriander and some basil. I can't get over the smell of these herbs, and I need it in my life. And so I planted the seeds with the children some days ago, and the basil was just like this kind of explosive growth, that was I don't know, just full of vigor. And then nothing happened in the coriander. I was kind of like a little depressed, then more depressed. And then this morning, oh my God, it's like, yes, I should have that in my background, Russell. The coriander's just grown up like 1 or 2 centimeters overnight. I know.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. So I'm happy. I'm happy at the moment. I'm content.
Nice. That's a good place to be. I like it. Russell?
So we have a family of deer that spends the night about every third night off my patio. And I always try to be real quiet when I take the dog out in the morning, not to disturb them too early. But this weekend, I decided I need to get rid of these deer because they started eating all the flowers.
Oh, but
It's
you're
terrible.
wonderful.
My wife does not think I'm that wonderful. But I did something this morning that was real interesting. I actually posted, after seeing Amy doing an advertisement for Spaceball, Matthew, yesterday, that we're going to be on. I put that on my author page. And I got reactions about being excited about it. I think you have a good name for your book, because
Spaceball.
I had readers react to that name and want to hear your interview because of that. I think it's just the name, because I didn't put anything about you. I just put the author of the children's book Spaceball, and I got a lot of reactions. So
Well,
that's a good sign for Matthew.
first of all, thank you so much for doing that, Russell. I'm really happy, delighted to talk about it, and it's an exciting project, or it was, to work on. Really, a lot of fun, just so much fun to work on, and we'll probably talk about why that felt different to other books, other projects I've worked on. There can be a struggle, as we all know, at various points, but this was delightful. I think I just got a combination that was rewarding from the outset. But it's the name of the film. There's a film, I've never seen it. I didn't even realize, from the 80s, that was quite popular.
Are you talking about the Michael Jordan basketball game?
No, that's Space Jam. Isn't there a movie that's called like Spaceballs?
Yeah, it's one of the greatest satiric movies of all time, written to make fun of other space movies. It's
got John Candy in it, and it was in '87.
If you haven't seen it, you've got to see it.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's going to move up on my to-do list to the top. It's just gonna.
Well, absolutely, especially since it's the same name and everything. That'd be great.
I think, at the time, I just didn't. I guess it was such a while ago that that film was released. I just didn't connect, and I didn't see it at the time when it was released either. So, but I will for sure. I must do that. Yeah. I don't think it bears any resemblance to what I did in any.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't think.
Nonetheless, it's going to be a talking point for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Sandy, what did you do?
Well, I just got back in town on Wednesday night, so been kind of resting up, and then this weekend, my kids came over, and yesterday was my anniversary and my granddaughter's birthday, so they're on the same day, and so we had everybody coming by. It was kind of nice that it was not anything planned.
Sandy, I love it. How many years did you celebrate?
23. We got married in 2000, so it's easy to keep track.
Oh, there you go. I like it.
But Russell, it wasn't that exhausting because we didn't put any preparation into it. They asked me what I wanted to do for my anniversary, and I'm like, I want to stay home and rest. That's all I want to do. So I did. That's exactly. But we got in the pool, did a few things like that. It was fun. It was a very nice, easygoing weekend.
I always think it's so cool to share an event like that, with a family member. So it's not all you. Sometimes you can feel.
Well, actually, we chose that date because it was my husband's parents' anniversary. So we're like, oh, well, let's just get married on the same day. They did, and we went to Vegas, got married in Vegas. Elvis walked me down the aisle and all that. So we had it was a fun wedding. It was fun.
So you
And
made it no matter what everybody said.
no matter what.
I love
I got
And
married on a
it.
Friday, May the 3rd. I got married on a Friday the 13th. So
oh
Sam, I
my
kind of
gosh.
had the same bad sign. I need to thank our listeners.
Yes.
Matthew, we're like top 10 independent bookcast in America. We're shocked about that. We're very grateful. Most people don't
We're
listen to
shocked
us
about
live.
it.
Well, I mean, we're just
We are.
4 people sitting around having coffee
We're excited about it though.
with interesting authors. And most people listen to us during the week on our podcast channels. And we want to thank them for listening to us. We're always honored. Amy, where can they find us?
Yeah, so you guys can find us anywhere that you can listen to podcasts. Amazon Music, Spotify, Good Pods, Apple, Google, anywhere that you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to us. And to mimic what Russell and Sandy said, we are shocked but excited that you guys enjoy this because it was Russell's idea and we've all started it 8 years ago, coming up on 9. And we just enjoy hearing from other authors and others in the writing community and just getting to know them because, like all things, without authors, the world would be so boring. So you guys keep us entertained and take us out of reality and escape or educate us in certain realms if you write nonfiction. So it is just wonderful. So thank everybody so much for listening to us. If you want to watch us and how animated our facial expressions are, because like I said, I control what comes out of my mouth, but not my facial expressions by any means. You can pop on over to our Facebook group and join it, our YouTube channel. On top of that, you can find us on any one of our social media platforms. We love engaging with everyone that wants to watch us and listen to us live. We try to get your questions answered and the engagement and everything like that. We love hearing from you guys. But with all that being said, let's kick it to Sandy and let's get Matthew talking about his work. So Sandy, take it away.
Matthew, it is so nice to meet you. And I've read everything there is to read about you that I have, including the Amazon page and what you have there. So I'm very interested. You have 3 books now. And then is this the 4th book you were talking about that you were getting ready to publish?
Well, actually, there is a 5th book that was never published, but I'm working on it. Yeah.
Russell understands that scenario.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It might be interesting to discuss it immediately here because I feel quite saddened. I didn't get around to publishing it at the time that it was finished. It's called Farmer Barrow, and it's one of the, I think, a delightful characterization of a farmer that lives on a rundown farm and grows parsnips. That's probably a good segue into discussing the content of the book. But and it was beautifully illustrated by an illustrator that I saw in Berlin, and I just asked her, would you work on a picture book with me for children, because I really like what you've done. And she said yes, and she did a fabulous job. And we didn't publish at the time. That's my fault. And I don't know, there was just a lot of other stuff going on. I thought I'd get round to it. And then I asked her recently, can we put it out because it's essentially ready? And she said, well, my work has moved on since then, and I don't really want it published.
Oh.
And I felt so.
That's such an artist response, isn't it, Matthew?
Well, I don't have enough experience of working with, so I just thought that's a real shame. I don't know what to do about it, because I think her, the work that she did was just perfect for the material at the time. So I'm thinking of suggesting that maybe can we not put her under a pseudonym if she doesn't want to be associated with that work herself personally, and we'll just get her paid somehow anyway, through any royalties that the book gets. It's just a shame that it's not going to see the light of day, and I don't really want to change the illustrator. So
do you have a contract with her or anything?
No, I didn't. No, not originally. No. So if anybody's got any advice on what to do about that, I think
Well, Russell
Well, I think
isn't
you
it?
have a good idea of proposing a pseudonym because
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like to me you had a gentleman's agreement with her.
Yeah.
So you have to be courteous to her wishes too. So I totally respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway,
Great.
that's
So, what is the title of that book?
the the one that probably will never get published.
That one, yes.
It's called Farmer Barrow. So
Oh, that's right. You did say that. And
yeah.
so, and then the one you just now uploaded, what is that? What is that book?
So that's called What's Your Favorite Color? And it's actually the same theme as my first published book, Maybe Colors.
I see that. Yes. Maybe
Yeah.
colors.
And so they're both kind of conceptual, and they're both really, my intention is to really just try and stimulate a discussion between adults and children, if that's what's happening, or adults and adults. I personally, I love picture books. I love talking about them. Perhaps
And your other book was Snowman.
Snowman, yeah, and Spaceball, which we
Well, we're going to talk about Spaceball. I just wanted to kind of that will give you 5 books altogether. 4 will be published. The other one may be published. So great. But so tell us about Spaceball and where do you get the ideas for this? Because you have a variety of stories with the colors and what that's about. Because it does have more of a not a, I won't say a spiritual, but it has a meditation kind of part to it on the colors. So where did Spaceballs come from?
Yeah, that's always a tricky question for me. I don't know how you feel about that, but I think what it there's a point in the book where the father says something to his child, and really there's a kind of meta situation there with perhaps where my inspiration comes from, because I think I can be listening to the radio or listening, nosing in on someone's conversation or just what's going on in the background. And I think I'm just receptive to while I'm doing whatever I'm doing, suddenly something someone says will trigger a kind of cognitive purpose, if you like. I don't know. It fits in somewhere in the chaos of my mind, and I won't let it go. But Spaceball, I think more concretely, it's a quote from Einstein. It's dedicated to him, and I just so admire him as in so many ways, what he was able to, how he was able to communicate so simply with talk about what was going on in your mind. Just an amazing character and person. One of his quotes was, fantasy is more important than knowledge. And so I put that right at the beginning of the book, because I think my interpretation of that was, at the time, and still is, that it's not that, of course, knowledge is really, really significant for us. It's vital. But I think for his work, being able to use his sense of imagination and creativity, his fantasy.
That is a great quote. I would use that a lot in your marketing, because especially with it being from Einstein. I mean, he's very recognizable name, and that's not a recognizable quote. I've not heard that quote by him before. So I would definitely, I think it's a great way to lead. And Russell, you were going to say something.
Well, sure, because we know how Einstein worked, how he would spend long periods of seeming inactivity while his mind worked through things. It was famous about how he did it, and so that kind of goes with the way he worked too.
Yeah, I think this I think aspect of certain writers. I'm not sure if all writers, but I believe Kafka was famous for and his writing, the administrative processes that he had to supervise were hugely significant in his work, as you know. So don't give up the day job.
Oh my! Do you realize, Amy and Sandy, this is the first author that has ever brought up Kafka during an interview in almost 9 years of interviews. One of my favorite authors.
I was going to say is
Matthew,
when
you're absolutely right. His idiosyncratic way. He had many idiosyncratic ways. That's exactly right. While he was writing those boring insurance forms, his creativity would explode into weirdness.
Do you know what, Russell? It's so interesting. I'm sorry, Sandy, but I've written something else that I completely forgot about, a short picture book, and it's really quite experimental. And it's called The Square. And I'm going to get sacked for saying this, but it was actually, I wrote it during the pandemic while I was online doing my part-time RA administrative work at McGill University. So there's a lot that you can sort of read into that in terms of the intense frustration with certain administrative systems that you can find yourself in, and we all know because they exist in all sorts of different departments.
And that's what bred Kafka's some of his greatest works.
Yeah,
was that very sense that you just voiced.
Yeah. So but that's really the reference to Einstein. I just wanted to thank him so much for that, the importance of that quote. And the book is a lot of fun. Spaceball is just, I had so much fun doing it. It's a collage illustration, which I did myself. So with a lot of crayon, there's a lot of, it's so dynamic. And basically the story follows. So the fantasy part is right at the beginning where the father tells his son, if you kick a ball hard enough up into the air, it won't come back down again. So there's the child just goes off thinking, okay, well, where does it go then? And the child has a dream, and the book follows the ball across our solar system, and then reaches a climax, and then I'd love to tell you what happens, but
we have to buy the book to find out what happens.
Well, can I tell you what happens anyway?
Sure.
Well, so on Pluto, so there's this dispute about whether Pluto is actually a planet. It was happening at the time, I think, or just afterwards. But anyway, for with creative license that we have, it's a planet in this book. There's a soccer net on Pluto, and the ball goes into the back of the net. And so it's gone all the way across the solar system, goes into the back of the net on Pluto. And the child comes down to the father at breakfast time and says, tells the father their dream. And the father says, that must be the greatest goal in the history of everything. And that's where, that climax where it hits the net on Pluto, then the book shifts completely to what the child considers that means, that just that one sentence. What is the history? What is my history? What is yours? What do we share? What don't we share? And so there's a kind of 3 or 4 page collage illustration where I just had a lot of fun trying to think.
The history of everything. I mean, I think that just saying that sounds amazing. It does.
Thank you. Yeah.
I love it. Love the whole idea. Love the soccer across, and also, Matthew, the fact that you are from England and now live in Canada, and you've already made reference to someone in, I think you said Germany, that you did something with. So, I mean, you definitely are a international author, and that's great to talk. I mean, I love just hearing it. Could listen to your stories for hours, I'm sure, because it's amazing. So thank you very much for sharing all this with us. And I can't wait. I have a grandson who's 5, and I cannot wait to get the book for him. But what is the age for most of your books? Is it like a 6 to 8 year old or older or what?
Okay, so now I'm going to upset a few people, which I try to avoid doing usually, but
well, Russell doesn't
not.
try to.
Apparently you are easy with upsetting people. This is like our third time already in the interview.
No.
Sandy, thank you so much for your kind words. And prior to this question, and it's a very interesting question. I have a slogan, which is my books are for children age 6 to 99, and that's I'm not excluding people who are 100, but for the sake of the slogan, what that means is, in my experience, because I'm also an educator, I've taught a lot in a lot of different institutions, the places that I've been, and children develop at all sorts of different ages. So I think, and actually, I mean to say that my first book, Maybe Colors, was really a response to my first son, Vic, and it's dedicated to him. When I noticed that when I used to read stories at bedtime, as we all have done and always will, I hope, he would always choose a book that I was interested in. It's as unselfish as children are. That's just a very strong indication of that, I think. And so what I wanted to do was try and engage with him with something that I felt was important, with a picture book of my own. And actually, he was the first audience with his friend who was over, and they read the book. And I was astonished, because I was really worried that it would just flop. I don't know why. I just thought, let's see. And they just went off on the first page or so, 2 or 3 pages in, what their experience of color means in their life. And that's exactly what I wanted. That's all I wanted, was to have that. And so from then on, I was kind of just hooked on what this is that I want to do in whatever way. And that first book is it's conceptual. So is the other color book. But I'm very interested in conventional, more traditional types of picture books as well. But just doing it in a way that
you do some illustrations yourself. Is that right?
Yeah. So Snowman and Spaceball are much more sort of traditional styles of storytelling, but the color books are more exploratory in terms of perspective taking and discussing experience and things. But they all do that in their way. I think it took me a long time to realize that's how I identify what it is that I want to do with my writing. So yeah. Snowman. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead and finish.
Well, I was just going to say Snowman's very interesting from, you talked about an international sense, and Snowman is actually, the illustrations are adapted from the first photographs of the geometric structure of snowflakes by Wilson Bentley. Wilson Bentley, who was a countryman of yours in the end of the 19th century, the first person to ever take geographic images of snowflakes. And when I looked at what he'd done and read a little bit about his life, I just, this kind of person is who you want to involve in your work in a way, if you can, because he was raised in Vermont, not far from where I am right now. I've been to his museum in Jericho, and he pioneered various photographic techniques in order to look at snowflakes and their geometric. He was just a romantic that had to do it, and he achieved. He was invited to Europe in the end, because he managed to do it. And imagine that at the time, you're talking 1880s, 1890s, snowflakes melting on his little slide before he can even get it in, so under the microscope to take his pictures. But he did astounding work. And the book is just a kind of tribute in terms of the illustration tribute to him.
Wow, that's amazing. All of it, all of your books. So your books, the 3 of them are available on Amazon
Right now, yeah.
And right now, will they continue to be available there?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. No, I just mean the 4th is not.
Right.
It's not available yet.
So, do you have a website?
Yes, I do. Yeah, it's www.onewildword.org. So I don't know if I should.
Is it the number 1 or the word written out?
One. It's all one. It's all the one word. One wild word, all put together. But if you Google my full name, Matthew Bennett Young.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Everything comes up. I think actually.
Because I was looking at the press release, is what I've been looking at, and I didn't see the website on there, but I did find it on Amazon. So good. So buy the book today and get the world's most fantastic soccer surprise. Amazing. And I just bought it for my grandson. I can't wait because he plays soccer. So I know he will love that. He just had a birthday, so I'll give that to him.
Well, thank you, Sandy. I please let me know what he thinks, because it's just delightful to get the feedback. There is some feedback on Amazon, but yeah, for kids, it's probably the most exciting. It has a lot of energy, the book, and I think you would want that if you're writing using soccer as a theme. You need to have that movement for sure. I hope it does that.
I will let you know
properly.
So, Russell, any questions? I noticed we're getting kind of
we're getting close, but I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Where are you where did you originally come from in England?
Dorset, Russell. Dorset, North Dorset. So very rural. Very rural. I was always outside, never home. Only home for dinner. Sometimes not even that.
And why did you pick Montreal?
Oh, it's my it was for my now ex-wife, actually. It was for her career. Yeah.
And do you speak French?
Petit peu. Un petit peu. School, but actually quite a good standard. But I love Maybe Colors was translated into French. I love the language, but I'm not using it so much, or perhaps as much as I should. Now that Bill 96 is so significant for us here in Quebec, I'm going to pretty much be forced to use some of the French. So
well, you're a lucky man to get to. It's a beautiful language.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I do workshops as well. I'm through the Ministry of Education here in Quebec, but before I came here, I was teaching in southern Sweden, and we did a translation of Maybe Colors into 3 languages just to hear the sound of the same text to children. And I love doing things like that, so you can get a good cultural grasp of how the fluency and flow of different languages. So that was a lot of fun.
So how long did you live in Sweden?
16 years.
Oh, wow. How long have you been in Montreal?
Just over 10. So you can work out roughly, if you're as good at maths as I am, I'm a little bit more than 26 years old.
Okay. Just a tad.
Cheating now. I'm cheating.
Okay. Well, Matthew, that's my my interview question. So is there anything else, though, that you would like us to know about either you or your books or your future plans?
Well, thank you very much, Sandy. It's very kind of you to ask. I just, I guess the expression is watch this space, because there's a pun there that I actually didn't intend, but there you go. I'm going to continue on. I have ideas. The ideas are not difficult. I have a list on my wall of the next 10 projects. It's just to how to go about doing them and who I'm going to work with or whether I'm going to do the illustration. But the book that's about to be published is a young illustrator from Montreal. So I think that's a lot of fun to work with people who are starting out on their career as well. She did a great job. So there's plenty more where that came from, I guess, is what I want to say.
That's awesome. Do you do any events, book events, or author book signing kind of things?
I haven't done any yet, but certainly, yeah, love to. I'm open to anything like that. So readings and things like that. I actually haven't done any audio yet, but I listen to the radio a lot, and I just love it. I just love how peaceful it can be to focus on when somebody's speaking, and the radio is kind of, I've had a bit of a renaissance. Of course, there are people who have listened to it all their lives. I haven't done that, sadly, but I'm up for it now for sure. I love that. So audiobooks would be a great next step for me in this career, if you like.
You have a good voice and a good accent. You should do them yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Russell. Yeah, I've been told that, so I'm interested. It's just the next thing. There's so much to do. So yeah.
Well, I could listen to you talk for a long time, so I look forward to it. I love your accent.
We could listen to your books, Matthew. So in the future, when you go down that avenue, please let all of us know, because we would love to check out your audiobooks and to listen to it for sure. But Matthew, I want to thank you for taking time out of your morning to come and hang out with us and just have a casual coffee shop conversation. That's kind of our bread and not bread and butter, but that's what we enjoy, is just having a conversation, right? It's the greatest thing I think that we can have, and getting to know more about you. Besides being an author, what kind of transitioned you into that, and the current things that you're experiencing and what is to come. So thanks for being so open and coming and having this conversation and taking time out of your morning to hang out with us three. It's been such a fun conversation.
Amy, Sandy, Russell, it's been such a pleasure. I'm honored to be on your program, and thanks so much for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you guys, we hope you all have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. We'll catch you all next Monday. Go to our AuthorTalk page, because I will be posting my speech in there because Sandy and Russell asked. Feel free to comment, leave whatever you want on there. I may get the courage to read them at some point, but probably not today. But until then, bye for now, everybody.